talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to another amazing episode of the CEO Show. Remember, this is the 25th episode that we are doing tonight. Remember, this is a show that always comes to you every Tuesday from 7:30. But tonight we are really sorry because we are late by 30 minutes because of some technical errors. But thank God we are here to bring you the CEO Show. Remember, I'm your host, Dan. This is a show that always looks forward to bring you different personalities from different industries. People are going to speak about their experiences. They are going to speak about their way up to different levels of different industries. These are people who are going to share their experiences, and most importantly in this show, we are going to ensure that it is going to be very inspirational, very educative, and definitely very insightful. And tonight we have prepared you another amazing episode of the CEO Show. Remember, who is our guest tonight? I want to challenge you. Can you give a guess? Our guest tonight is none other but Miss Jannette Toroitich. This is somebody who has been in your phones for quite some time. Today we are talking to the farm girl, a lady who has gone beyond odds to prove that you can have education, but you can still go ahead and do the farm work. And when you talk about the farm work, you talk about agribusiness, transforming agriculture, not only about tilling, planting, and also harvesting, but also transforming and combining it with entrepreneurship, making money from the soil. Our show tonight is prepared for you, any other lady that is outside there, that you can go out of your way and be that farm girl. She's going to talk about her experience in the farm and why she chose to step on the soil to make sure that the ends meet. This is somebody that she is also the brand ambassador of one of the notable brands that is top of YARA fertilizer. She is the brand ambassador, and also having worked with different companies, the Blaze, and many other that she's going to share. Remember, this is a show that inspires you, educates you, and bring insight. Tonight we are coming to you live on YouTube, also on Facebook, and also tonight we are live on TikTok. Remember to share this conversation for somebody to know that you're watching, and also for us to know that you're part of this conversation. And in case of any question, please don't hesitate to comment on the comment section for us to know that what is it that you want to ask our guest tonight. This is an opportunity that you can't get anywhere else but on the CEO Show. Please tell us where you're watching us from. Miss Jannette, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, welcome to the CEO show.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm so thrilled to be here.
Okay,
I've heard about the CEO show for a very long time,
okay,
and I'm so honored to be a guest here today.
okay.
Yeah.
You just came from the farm?
Yes,
Okay.
as usual, on the farm. Most times there are a lot of things to do, so it's to Moiben and then back to town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before going to the farm now, tell us who is Jannette?
Jannette is the fourth born in a family, born of girls, so we are all sisters. I have aging parents. My dad is 87 years old now.
Okay.
So I was in campus. I did Bachelor's of Cooperative Business.
Okay.
Graduated in 2018.
Okay.
So unfortunately, a lot of things happened in campus.
Okay.
And I ended up getting pregnant after school.
Jannette, before we go into that, I'm so curious to understand. Did you grow in the farm? Were you this young kid in the farm that Jannette enda chunga ng'ombe, enda chunga mbuzi? Like, did you grow in the farm?
Yeah, once in a while we used to go to the farm. I studied in give instructions like this is how you till the land and this is how you make sure the land is well tilled. Watu wa kazi wasikucheze sana. So that's how we started learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were your parents farmers, all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
All of us, from our first one to the last one, we have gone to school with pesa ya maziwa. My dad is a dairy farmer in Dry Senapko.
Okay.
And my mom is a wheat farmer in Moiben.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, immediately after primary, you went to Segero Adventist. Then immediately you went to cooperative university, right? Okay. You studied what for your bachelor's? I
did Bachelor's of Cooperative Business.
Okay.
Finance option.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, when you were young, a lot of people were asking. Probably when all of us when we were young, people could ask us, "What do you want to become when you grow up?" But so you yourself, you want to go on anyway when you grow up.
I wanted to be a banker.
Okay, not a farmer.
No. My first born sister is a banker. The second born sister is a banker. Third born sister is a lawyer.
Okay.
And so of course I
and all your parents
to be something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So then life happens, and you have to just move with the flow of how things go.
Okay. Now your siblings, all of them ahead of you are in lucrative careers, probably. But now you all of a sudden you chose to walk to a different path. What is it that motivated you and inspired you to venture into this?
For me, well, first, I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate about agriculture. You know the way when you wake up in the morning now from Webby Square, you know the excitement that you feel when you see the fabric and the machinery. That is the same way I feel when I'm in the farm.
Okay.
I feel so alive. I feel like this is the right place I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
But of course, in 2019, I did not know that. I had to go through some. I used to go for interviews, by the way. And in the interviews, because Bachelor's of Cooperative Business was a new course, people used to ask, what were you learning? And you have to say, this is just like BCom, but it's just about cooperative. It was. And when I got a chance to work in a company, those companies of Shabu.
Okay. Who was your first employer?
I did my internship with the county government of Wasengishu. And then I also got another one with Ainapko Isako. People were old, people were talking Kalenjin, and it was just a very slow world for me. Yeah, so I came back to town, and as I told you, I had a child at that moment.
That was immediately after campus? After
campus, yes. The father of the child, of course, it was very rough. He told me I tried to trap him, and I think I was so angry with myself. It was just not working out. That was not how I planned things to be. Yeah, so I had to pull myself together because I was also getting into depression. I was broke. My mom used to tell me, I had so many plans for you. No, what is this? What's going on? I felt like I disappointed people. So yeah, in that act of just pulling things together, I moved away from the townhouse, and I went to Moiben, and I went to the farm because I wanted that for peace of mind.
Okay.
Looking for peace of mind, I used to pray a lot, and I just told God, I need you to put me where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, so it was September and it's raining. I said, there's no way this rain can be going to waste. At that moment, my dad was also diagnosed with high blood pressure and diabetes. And with one of the visits to the doctor, he told us it is about nutrition. He has to eat very well. And so we could not spend a lot of money and a lot of time just hunting for like traditional African vegetables everywhere. I said, why don't I, because I'm in the farm. And my mom was telling me, hey, rudi town, unafanya nini huko? I said, I need a reason to justify why I'm staying here. And so I started planting vegetables.
Now the inspiration came because your dad was sick.
Yeah, and I was really broke. I had to.
And the child was here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a very rough patch at that time. I was depressed as well, so yeah, so I started doing traditional African vegetables. I told my mom, I just need a point. Point in Atoshana. Yeah, that's how we started. Yeah.
So what was the reaction from your mom now, asking for a point of kusema that unataka nikukatie shamba hizi or something like that? How was the reaction?
No. My mom was open-minded at that time because, of course, she just knew I was just growing so that we eat as a family.
Yes.
So she was okay with that. And then I said, if I have to put my energy into something, why don't I do something big? And I told my mom, please, nataka uniongeze kidogo tu, like half an acre.
Okay. And from a point?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did half an acre of manabu. We used to, when it was ready, tunapack kwa magunia, and I brought them to town.
Yourself?
Yes. And I used to walk around the estate and I used to sell them. Me, myself.
That is, you're now a walker, that is. Okay.
Yes. It was tiresome, it was rough. I mean, your neighbors saw you in the university and then say unauza mboga and you're producing mboga. What is going on here? Okay. But I had to do it.
How hectic was it? Because now back at home, we always have these knocks at the gate, like, and then you find that somebody is here, Mama Mboga. So yourself, that is, how was an ideal day for you? Waking up at what time? Getting to town at what time? How was your day?
So crazy, very crazy. By 6 o'clock, I will be on my way to town, and I have
with a sack of
2 gunias of 90 kg of mboga, yeah. And then it is something perishable, so you're working against time.
So you have to sell the entire.
Yes, and you know, everybody. I didn't have people at home. It was just me and my mom and my daughter. And so I would walk around. I used to come back in the evening. I would sit on the chair. I would sleep there. Okay. I was so tired.
Okay. And what were you making?
And now the best part of it is, at least that moment when I would wake up, there are some days you used to get rained on and you're in gumboots and you wonder, am I really doing the right thing? But now if you count the money that you have in your pockets, in a day you will make up to 3,000 or 4,000 shillings. I said, okay, no, this is really not so bad. So I did it and I did it. I think my parents started accepting at that point. But at that point they knew I was doing it just for a while before I did something else. Like what my sisters do, you know.
So ilikuwa tu ya kushikilia.
Yeah,
That's what they used to think.
Yes.
Okay.
My mom was working on an opportunity for me to go abroad at that time. I had done CPA as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but I felt happy. I was happy I could do something for myself and for my daughter. I even can't explain everything that I felt, but I remember everything so well.
Okay.
And so, another thing that I used to do is I used to take pictures on the farm and I post them on Facebook just to get more market for the vegetables.
Okay.
And so many people started looking at me and they said, hey, it started becoming much more than the vegetables, and they started saying, okay, now there's this girl and she's in the farm, what is she doing? And at the same time, I saw one person anaitwa Mr. Agriculture.
Okay.
For me, it felt so wrong, like, how are you so young and you're in the farm? But then I saw another person doing it, and I said, okay, so we can do this. And now, I got into now full swing.
Okay.
I posted pictures. I used to tell them, now we are preparing the land, now we are planting, now we are irrigating, and now we are selling.
Okay.
I used to even take pictures of the money that I made during the day.
Okay.
And I think that's where now I started getting followers, and people just started asking questions. How did you start? How did you do it? I need to do even manago. How nitafanyaje? And so
okay, now before we go now into details about how you expanded from the one point now to planting variety of crops, I think that's something that you also need to, and also the inspiration that you brought on social media, and also ensuring that you can sell on social media, because that is some news to some people tonight that you can sell even boga on social media. But I've seen people even selling fruits. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, remember this is Miss Jannette Toroitich is coming to you live on the CEO show. And as I asked you earlier, please tell us where you're watching us from. Just to read, we're seeing Eliaza Kosgei, Abraham K. Rono watching, Chirchir Collins is also watching. And then Collins, you're saying that Jannette Toroitich, you are glued. Then also we have Dennis Kimchai who is watching, Ben Chemono is watching, Amazon Global Limited is watching live from Barangetwin. Also we have Lemidio Media House, and also thank you for sharing this particular podcast. And also Amos Kimchai Kibi who is saying to collect kama kawaida. Ndelimo Esther is watching, Bueno Se is watching, James Chumba watching, Honorable Hammond Sam is watching, Kosgei Kimala watching, Kiprono Ruto is watching, Walter is watching, Colin Morgan is watching. Then also we have a question from Kosgei. I think Kosgei will respond to you in the course of the show. And then we're told that Lemiso Media House tuned. Then also, Lemiso, thanks for that compliment. We're working on our guest sound. Let's ensure that my team, let's ensure that the guest sound is very audible. Vivian is watching, Solomutai is watching, Masi Bichi is watching, Titus, Alan, Judith, Isaac Sambu, and all of them. Eliud Kichumba is watching live from E10. This is very educated. I think just tell us where you're watching from, and we'll be catching up as we go by. Now, talking about now expansion from the one point. And along the way, did you find fun in doing this? Because having studied CPA, having studied that is bachelor's in cooperative what? Management. Business. Yeah, that was it. Now, were you getting satisfaction in doing this? Was your satisfaction coming from money, or you develop a different kind of satisfaction in doing what you're doing?
I was helping my parents. You remember I told you my parents are aging. And
your dad was not well.
Yeah.
You were trying to get a balanced diet for her.
And farming for him is like a legacy. It's his legacy. And so I was doing what he loves, and we were becoming very close. We were becoming like best friends. I was also making money out of it.
Okay.
At that point, it was about money.
Because of the needs that you had?
Yes.
Okay.
Another thing, I don't know, I at that moment is when I knew I was very passionate about agriculture as well. Is I could do it with all my might.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how it was. That the Managu bit was like from September to December, and now from January is when we have to prepare the land for the main crop of the season.
Okay, which was maize or which what was it?
It was wheat.
Oh, wheat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My mom had seen the improvement that was going on within myself, from asking her for money to even doing some things at home.
Okay.
And to providing for my child. I said, okay, let's see, why don't we give you a chance, we'll see what you can do.
Okay.
So that was my first year, I was on trial.
So after now half an acre, you were given...
Yeah, I was told, why don't you try what you can do? We'll see if you can do better than what we used to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got the opportunity. I started preparing the land, of course with guidance from my mom. Well, we were getting into planting. I already had so many followers who were following, and I think at that point I got the nudge to make it as a mentorship or inspiration journey. Okay. To have many people join in, because I had seen my life change. I had seen my mental health get better, I had seen my pocket get better, and I had had a better relationship with my family. So yeah, we started it, and at one time we were loading the seeds and the fertilizer on the tractor, and I just took a picture and I posted, and I said, you guys, if you're not farming using this fertilizer, what are you doing in your farm? Which was from our previous year, we done very well. And after that I got a call from YARA International.
Immediately?
Just some few weeks after that. Okay. And after
so the fertilizer that you took a photo of, it was YARA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. After that just some few months later, Safaricom was looking for...
okay, let's talk about YARA now. They called you, what was the offer? What was the communication all about?
Somebody asked me, are you paid by YARA to do what you're doing? I said, no, I'm just a farm, and I was just making a post because I want to help people to produce better as I am producing. Yeah, so I said, why don't we sit down and get a contract or something? So, yeah, so we started doing that.
Okay. So the engagement was a good deal? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, after that I got Safaricom after that. They were
the
looking for an agribusiness mentor with a blaze, and I was referred to by someone, and we did the thing. I also was approached by WeFarm. There's an organization called WeFarm. That was a marketplace for farmers. And yeah, I had a contract with them for like 6 months as their brand ambassador. Okay. Yeah, so that was it.
Now, looking at these brands locating, you talk of YARA and you talk of even the Blaze, which was a big thing at that time, and also now we found working with you. What do you think, what was it that they saw in you that they had to choose and also talking to you to become their brand ambassador?
I think first thing is because we have so many farmers looking up to me. And number two is the support. Sometimes women and youth really need a lot of support to just bring out what they should be doing. At this point, at this era, or in this generation, we need to show many young people that they should also be farming for the sake of our future. And one, it was just support. And number two, it was about showing other young people that, look at this girl, she's doing it, why don't you also do it? Yeah.
Okay. Now, so you're getting a lot of motivation from like people seeing you doing this, and...
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
It was so good. I was in, even like a year later, I was in a conference Uhuru Kenyatta, and we were talking.
Uh-huh.
At some points, I've had to just pinch myself and ask myself, is this
it
really
real?
happening?
Okay.
Because I'm just a farmer, you know.
Okay.
But at this point, we're trying to put the picture that being a farmer is just a lawyer, you know. And as much as it is very hard to work, like as a farmer, as a woman, you have to work twice as hard sometimes, but we still do it.
Okay. Now, we're going now to talk about your achievements and what have you, but before we go into your achievements, I think, ladies and gentlemen, remember that we are coming live to you, and also the main aim of this show is to bring you a lot of inspiration. And ladies outside there, it's a challenge to you tonight that you can make money from the soil, just as she started, and she's doing good. And we're going to take a very short break, and then we come back to you shortly. Then we continue this conversation and make it even better for you tonight. We'll be back very shortly.
Financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show.
Welcome back once again to the CEO Show. Remember, our guest tonight is Miss Jannette Toroitich, who is an agribusiness and also somebody very passionate about business in agriculture. That's the most important thing. How can you make money from the soil? Most of us will say that we practice agriculture, but are we making money out of it? Then just to appreciate and remember that we're coming to you live from the CEO Show. We have Titus Ches Kiprotich says, Salamia Jannette, while tukiwa copper, you would never imagine she could be an inspirational youth farmer. This is from Titus Kiprotich. And also, Brian Kipchumba is saying that amazing show, very insightful. Bueno is saying that the guest is the cornerstone of the establishment of Bowen Smart Farm in Torochmoi. Blessings to you, very resourceful person. And then also somebody, Ruben Buot is watching from Kitale, and then Bueno is saying that he's watching from Bowen Smart Farm. Kipchirchir is saying, Yara Digital Shuja, congratulations, farm girl. And also one of our guests who was here sometimes back, Naisi Enole Musa, who is saying that watching live from Ego Bloom Laundromat Kenya office. This is amazing. Tell us where you're watching from, and please, if you have a question for our guest tonight, please don't hesitate to ask on the comment section, and don't forget to share this conversation for somebody to know that you're watching. Jannette, we're talking about now growing all through, but now we talk about adding value, because anybody can practice farming. But not everybody can make money out of farming. How did you manage to convert all these from the small scale to now the big scale that you're doing?
You know, the way people look at me today, they think I know everything. But I started from somewhere.
True.
At that point where my parents left the management of the farm on me, trust me, I had no clue about agriculture. I think I just knew it's just seed and it's just fertilizing. You put them together and then it rains and then you wait for rains. And then you wait. In fact, even at that time, we used to, you know, those agrochemical companies that sell you 20 liters of, let's say, fungicide and it's 500 shillings. You just say dawa ni dawa. So what? You buy. But I mean, when I walked into contact with a company like YARA, it was a mind opening for me, because I attended so many field days, I asked so many questions, and they connected. I mean, the most important part was they connected me with the right farmers. I got to meet Felix of Common Farms and Rodney, and he's yes, because somebody very dear, and in part of who I am, it's because of them. They really held my hand and they told me, hey, there's something called this and this and this, and that's just when I said, whatever we are doing in this farm, we are very big jokers. And at that moment it was a wake-up call that I really need to change things, because if you could make this profit and you are not doing things seriously, what if you make things seriously? How much more could you make? Yeah, and so we started whatever was happening in Komol is what I was doing in Moiben.
Okay. Now, to check now, because when we talk about the young people, sometimes they fear to get into this simply because of probably capital and finances too. Because the moment you do, even planting an acre is quite expensive at some point. But how did you mitigate, and also how did you manage to go through these challenges of finances and also injecting more capital to do? And how many acres by year are you doing?
Our family farm is 50 acres. We got a loan. We get a loan sometimes when we're behind, when we're less. But for other young people, I've also been part of the organization like KCIC. Have you heard of KCIC?
Yeah.
They do capacity building for young farmers, and you can go there with a very good business plan, and they tell them I need to do
Good
this.
proposal.
You could either get a grant, you could get a loan, or they could support you. There's a way they can just help you do what you want to do with no, and you don't pay back. Yeah, but they will have to teach you. Yani kuna vile unafaa kuwa umeshaanza kufanya kitu ile yenye wataona wanafaa wakusaidie. Yeah.
It's true.
And it's not only KCIC. There's so many opportunities out there for people who really are so intentional about building their enterprises.
Okay. Now, other than that, as finance being a bottleneck or a challenge that young farmers encounter, but as a person, what are some of the challenges that you think is what you encountered from the beginning to where you are currently?
Knowledge. As a farmer, you have to be very knowledgeable. You just don't do farming blindly. You have to know, you have to face a lot. Like the past, I barely have friends. Because if I told you, ninakimbia kwa shamba kwa sababu tractor imekata kufanya kazi, sidhani nimeelewa, you know. So you lose a lot of friends because there's a lot of times that you have to give in to what's going on in the farm. Yeah, you have to know there are going to be early mornings and late nights, and it's expensive, of course. Yeah. Okay.
And now, what do people say? Because do you think the young generation are ready to lose pleasure and enjoyment for the sake of farming? To the young people, what do you think?
You know, when you become broke, or when you see yourself not doing so well in life, you just have to pinch yourself a little bit and tell yourself, what am I really doing? And if you look at yourself and you see agriculture as a way of making money for yourself, that is what you have to do.
Okay.
And agriculture goes beyond making money for yourself. You create an income for somebody else, you know. Say tukienda reserve and it's harvesting season, we are guaranteed that 15 other young people have something to go back with in the evening, you know, because they have worked and we have created an opportunity for them. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay.
And now, talking about, for example, we are looking forward to, I was reading a report on the UN, and they're talking about by 2030 we'll have a challenge of hunger. We talk about close to 600 million people will be facing hunger because of food are not sufficient and what have you. But as I was going through some of your posts, I saw that from the smallest way you're practicing even kitchen garden. And sometimes we neglect the small piece of what we call kitchen garden, because it's very small, just behind your house.
Yes.
But how important is it? Because we tend to be so comfortable and also going to buy mboga, going to buy everything, but you can utilize a small space. How important is it to consider having even a small piece of land for what you eat?
For me, it's very wrong. If you have to make dinner for your family, especially a woman, you know, as a woman, you are responsible for, I'm going to have kids in the future. I have to eat well. I have a newborn. I have to feed them well. I have kids. I have a husband, you know. You are responsible for what is put on the table. And if you are going to spend money to buy A to Z for what you're going to put on the table, something is definitely wrong with you. Have a kitchen garden, or even there are even plants plant pots where you can do tomatoes or even coriander. There's just something so small you can do. And you have, there's nothing as good as knowing where your food comes from. If I know, like, we did manago, we did tomatoes, there was even a point where what I could only buy was kitunguu peke yake, because I know mahindi comes from my farm. If I wake up in the morning and I make chapati, I know the wheat comes from my farm. We had coffee, I knew we could grind and we make coffee, and everything was just, and that is the real meaning of life, by the way.
Okay.
That is the real meaning of life.
Okay. Now, I'm also talking about probably the generation that we are in. Sometimes you find that somebody will say, hey, Mboga, the African vegetable, you get it. But now considering, and sometimes you find that people fear for diseases when talk about using organic, non-organic kind of supplements and also fertilizers and what have you. Having worked with YARA, what do you think is the right kind of fertilizers, the right kind of manure to use with the effect of these diseases, and what we have in mind that having these will relate to this?
As I say, as a farmer, you need to be very knowledgeable.
Well informed.
Yes. When you buy a product, let's say when you buy a fungicide from Bayer, there's PHI. You're not supposed to use this tomato until this number of days is over. After, let's say, spraying. Like for wheat is as after you have sprayed, there has to be like 72 days before somebody. And if you're not knowledgeable about that, wewe unaenda kwa shamba unaanza kuonja. Whose mistake is that? For a company like YARA, they have been very intentional about creating a fertilizer that is very soil friendly. We did a soil test when I was beginning, we did one in 2021, and we had a very nutrient deficient results. And 4 years later, when we were just doing the soil test for this year, you could not really believe, this is a soil where most of the nutrients are now optimal. We are becoming, the soil is in the right stage of production. Yeah, so I think it's just an understanding about what you're putting in your soil and what you're using on your farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, talking about now what the state of your soil, because most people don't even consider that, doing soil tests and what have you. But now, because for you, you've practiced a number of crops. Talk about maize, you do wheat, you do coffee, you do the vegetables that you've talked about. How important is it now to do crop rotation and also to always change from one season to another? Because our farmers, we're always into this mentality that I do maize and do maize forever.
Yeah. That is one very big problem with especially farmers in Wasingishu. They're very so hard to convince that after you harvest, let's say you harvest your wheat, it is important that you do another crop to preserve the soil. And some other crops, like if you do beans or if you do sorghum, those are crops that fix your soil. These are products that add nitrogen to your soil. If you do a soil test in Wasingishu and around Wasingishu, you find most soils are nitrogen and phosphorus deficient. And that's where the cover crops come in. You can either do sunflower and that is what we are pushing. I do mentorship in my farm. I have field days in my farm where we invite farmers and we just talk and tell me your problem, I tell you what I've been doing. We have been changing systems from the disc flower to minimum tillage now. We have been seed dressing our seed. And you have watched me grow. Especially you see the people who are even commenting right now, these are people who saw me from selling managu to, we used to have 8 bags in the wheat, 8 bags of wheat. Can you imagine 8 bags of wheat? And at the moment you're at 15 bags. You know, it has been a progress, it has been a learning process, and I am not even there yet. I still have my...
Now, talking about now much more and growth and whatever, but now talk about farm mechanization and bonding and fusing between the whole ways of farming that we used to do. And for you, you are now embracing the farm mechanization and using technology to improve your farm. Do you think it has a direct correlation with yield and production? Have you seen it positively affecting your production?
Yes, very much, very much. When our parents used to farm, it used to be predictable that, in fact, leo ni 29th March, mvua inanyesha leo. Even you could even predict that from January. But at this moment, it is raining now in Eldoret when you should be harvesting. Everything is so much unpredictable. And no matter what happens, in March next year, we should be planting maize, whether it rains or it doesn't rain. Whatever happens to your farming, to your soil, to your crop, it's all up to you. And so ways like the minimum tillage or seed dressing comes in very handy, so that you don't really run into losses when the season comes in. Can you look at minimum tillage? Ukilima na disc plow, kwanza tunafanya disc plow mara ngapi? Mara 3, mara 2. You dig in, ile moisture iko chini, unapendusha, sasa unaianika vizuri, mchanga inakauka, and then you come and repeat again. It is just a lot of work, and this was our first year trying the minimum tillage, and it has been very helpful, especially when you use up to 80 liters of fuel for like both tillage, and when you get in with a chisel, you only need to kuguza where the seed will be. Yeah, and it's very economical. It is less stressful. Yeah, and that's just it. We also did seed dressing, we did lining on our farm, and so we did crop rotation. We used to do wheat. We are wheat farmers, but at the moment we have maize, and we incorporated beans as well. And that's just to prepare for next year, when I think we'll have better yield for the wheat.
Okay. Now, what is it that inspires you now from, for example, you used to do the plowing and even during the land preparation, and now you're trying to go now minimum tillage and what have you. What is it that inspires you to now change from one kind of farming to another?
Farmers have been crying for a very long time. And then always mkulima mwenye hadi tunasema bei ya mahindi fertilizer sijui nini. Farmers are always crying. But we have, earlier this year we went to Norway, and these are people who even produce during winter. They are very much food secure. They do not complain about prices. They even do, we went to a farm where they farm potatoes. And when we were sitting and talking, they served us crepes. And they told us, do you have an idea that these crepes come from this farm? Can that ever happen in Kenya? No. It's a dream. So, I don't know, I don't want to be that kind of farmer who cries a lot. There are ways you can, with artificial intelligence way of life, everything in this current era is just AI. You can have, I do have a dream that I will have sensors in my soil. Well, wakati maybe niko nyumbani town, I can get notifications like, hey, there's a lot of pest in this, there's a lot of pest in your crop, there's like the moisture in Teremka sana, you need to have your sprays tomorrow. There's even those sensors send you what is deficient for your soil.
Okay.
I mean, this is just a new era where
How possible is it?
it's very possible. I have friends doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whatever happens in Komoro, it's something close to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now talking about having traveled to Norway and different parts of the country, and even outside the country, what is it that Norway do that we are not doing when it comes to farming?
They're just serious about everything.
Mm-hmm.
They do understand for this, farming is just a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
From the right timing of tilling, even the right population of the new, Kenyans will just, even fertilizer, you just pick anything that you're given to. You don't understand that agriculture goes back to quality and the amount of work and the knowledge that you put in. You see so many farmers who are doing well, especially those I look up to in Moideni. These are people who take seriously. When they say there's a farm training here, get up and go. If they do extra research, say on a chat GPT, you can ask questions there and you get to learn about what you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've talked about being in Norway and all of a sudden you're given even grapes just directly from the farm. That is now about value addition. Going through your post at some point, I saw that at some point you did even yogurt. And we have this potential, but now adding value to what we have. Because somebody said that when you're selling a fruit, for example, you sell one mango, you can sell at 20, but if you can blend and make juice out of it, you will sell at 150. Do you think we lack this knowledge of adding value to what we have, or we are just ignorant as young people?
We have people doing well. I mean, for me, my journey has taught me if you really want something, you can always get it. If you have an idea that's, look at, I'm just using a lot of Komol, but it makes sense. Komol does, they have their maize, they produce maize and then they sell on farm, you see. We had coffee at one time in our farm and we produced the berries and then we took them to Silmeras and then we grounded them and we took them home. It is very possible. But of course we need a little hand, of course, financially. But it is something that is doable. We need people to look at this as an opportunity. They say agriculture has a lot of opportunities, especially for young people. You can find a gap somewhere in the value chain. For crops in mingi, we have somebody doing value addition for gooseberries. Kuna juice, kuna jam, kuna nini, peanuts, we have butter and everything. So it is just very doable. You have young people should be very thirsty for that, to look at agriculture as a venture. For me, I chose to just stick in producing because I love production, and we even need more people in production because where will the food come from if we do not have young people to produce? Yeah, but if you do not want to get your hands dirty, I will always say that tafuta gap pale juu. Chukua ngano yangu kwa shamba and you make something. It can be X, you can make another name or something, but there's an opportunity for everyone. Okay.
Being on the lower side of the food chain or of the whole chain, that is now being on the production, but do you think there is more demand than what people or what we supply?
What do you know about the population of Kenya? We're past 9 billion and everybody has to eat. While I was going we had a conference in Tanzania at the borders, the guy with passport control, you have, when in kulima mdogo hivi na nyinyi mnakufa njaa. There's no way you can find that in Kenya, in Tanzania, I mean. So we need, there's a lot of demand more than production. We need more people to produce, and then we need also diversification. You know what's happening in Elgeyo-Marakwet? There's millet, there's sorghum. We need to be, there has to be cassava in our farms. Why don't we have that? Yeah.
But the demand is also there.
There is.
Okay.
There
now,
is.
from beginning, you've been trying to also mentor young people, and you also do mentorship. How impactful has it been? And do we have young people who are thirsty for such information?
A lot of people. So many people have ended up not getting jobs after university. And another advantage of agriculture is actually the papers do not really count. But I am not saying that you don't go to school. You need to be very literate, because there's a lot of science, there's a lot of biology, and there's a lot of technology, and just so many things behind agriculture that if you go in blindly, you're going to fail big time. So yeah, I do mentoring. I mean, part of what I've been focusing on, especially this year and onwards, is I want to just open my farm to people who want to learn. We also have knowledge centers that are done by YARA, where they do trials, different seed varieties, different types of fertilizer. There's organic fertilizer, there's even foliars only, there's DAP, and those are gates that are open for you to learn. And we have one in past Moiben. Yeah, if you want to learn, you just give me a call and I'll take you through.
Okay.
So there is knowledge available. We just have to be out there and be ready to learn.
Okay. Now, speaking as a woman, because in most occasions, most women in farming have been carried as a supporting kind of system. But what is it that takes now for a woman to be on the front line and leading from the front?
It's very tough for a woman, because this is a man job, you know. At one time, we had maize on the farm, and everybody around was harvesting. And I'm telling this neighbor of ours, I'm so stuck, hata sina mtu wa kuja kuvuna. And he said, hapa kungekuwa na kijana hapa, ni kazi kidogo sana. So there's a way that women are looked at when you're doing a man's job. And even my mom said, you have to work twice as hard. And trust me, I have worked twice, even thrice as hard to just get to the level I am today. And I mean, if you have the will, you can do it. You have so many women that I know who are doing exemplary job in agriculture. So it is very doable. You just have to
roll up your sleeves.
Yes, and get to it.
Okay. At any point, have you ever felt, or have you ever gotten to a point like you feel like just giving up and going back into employment?
Yes, of course. We have a lot of fall armyworms, they're just unapanda alafu unaona mvua hainyeshi. Or even the price. Sometimes it's demotivating, and then sometimes you even crave the soft life, Like, unasema nilisoma sasa mbona hata mimi nafaa niko kwa ofisi nikitengeneza TikToks, But look at me now. Gear imelock, So there are times you want to turn back, but I love what I do. I'm doing things much better at home, so stick to it.
Okay. And now, what we call the external voices, and talking to this current generation, sometimes we tend to seek clarity, and also we tend to seek approval from the outside world, that people should approve that I'm doing good. I need to be in a suit and a tie to look successful. Now, how did you block your ears from now the external world and focus on this rare road that people travel?
They say if God has put a dream in your heart, it means that it's possible for you to achieve it. And for me, so when I was in the farm, I saw my dream happening there. Another thing is, I forgot what I wanted to say, but I also started with a lot of friction, especially when my parents were saying, you should get it. All of that when I was Australia, you do something, you're supposed to do this, and it is just about what you really want. Chasing your dreams. If you have a dream, just chase it with all your might. Yeah. I mean, if you really want something, you can get it. And that is just what pushed me to where I am today. Okay. And you really have to love yourself for what you're doing. You know, when you started making suits and everything, it's because you knew you wanted to do it. And so when people see you believing in yourself so much, is when they start saying, okay, I go poor.
Okay.
Yeah, that is how the world happens.
Okay. And that is how they sound well. And probably speaking, we might be having even ladies who are watching currently on this particular show, and there are some even who feel so desperate and despair is full in their lives, like they feel like giving up. And this is somewhere that you've been before, having a child at a very tender age, and now provision is not there, and the father's chicken out, and you almost gave up, and also falling into depression was something that at some point you almost fell into. How did you come to how to fit? And speaking to this young lady, what can you tell them?
Put so much work on yourself, especially for women, because you know there's nothing as comfortable as being in a position where you can provide for yourself and provide for your children. So believe in yourself. It does not matter how big your dream is. You always have the chance to start small. I always tell everybody, start small. Start where you can. You really can't believe what you can achieve in a few years. You don't have to start with a factory if you want a factory. You can always have something behind the scenes. You know, like I was listening to a story of. I'm sorry, I have to speak of somebody's story. Okay. Somebody like Mashambani. He started selling agrochemicals from his room, from his bedsitter. And look at Mashambani right now. There is a lot of power in starting small, because you get to learn a lot. You have to get a mentor. Another thing is getting a mentor. You do not know everything. You need to be in a position where you learn. Yeah, and that does a lot for your training.
Okay. And somebody here, Franklin Curry, is saying that I like her work, but you need to diversify into potatoes and onions farming. Have you ever tried onions and potatoes?
No.
And what is your feedback?
Apparently, I always think about onions, but that needs a drip irrigation. Muiben is very dry. Yeah, and that needs an irrigation system, and that's just a lot of expenses that we don't have at the moment. Okay. But it's a good venture. Okay. Yeah.
And now, looking into probably 10 years later, where do you see Jannette, and what are your ambitions other than having a mechanized kind of farming?
I want to be in a position to do planting myself. In our machineries. I want to do harvesting myself. I want to be there to do drone spraying myself. At the moment we just make people do that.
You hire?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is our dream. We want to be a farm where people can come and learn. Okay. Because we want to be people who get the best yields. You know, they say this maize variety that it's possible for you to get 40 bags. I want to be those people who are getting 37, you know? That is the dream I have. And as much as possible is I want to build and just change somebody's life the way agriculture changed it from me. I want to show somebody that women can do it. I want to show people you can be young and you can be a farmer. Of course I want to be young then, but of course I will always tell my story. Okay, brilliant.
And now talking about also your achievements, and it's something that we didn't go into detail. You had an opportunity to have a discussion with the former president. How was it and how did it came to pass?
That was a dream come true. so many, when I started agriculture, honestly, I just saw myself selling vegetables, and that was just it for me.
Being Mama Mboga in future.
Yeah. But the way things have turned out, it's I am happy, and I will continue to do more. I think there's just some, there's always a reward for something when you do something with a genuine heart. I've always tried to help somebody and I think the way the world rewards you is I've been put to tables where I'm not even supposed to be. Yeah.
Okay, how was the experience sitting with the former president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta?
Of course, I was so scared, and it was, even after the conference, I couldn't even believe that was me. But it was just like 5 minutes to just tell him what you want, the kind of support you want as young farmers, young female farmers, especially from the rural part of Kenya. So can you imagine just a young 25-year-old farmer from Toroitich, all the way to Nairobi to just speak to the president.
Okay.
So yeah, that was it, and that was just the first of so many opportunities.
Okay. Looking back since that time to date, do you think the government is giving you the support that you ought to have, and do you think that there is an enabling environment to the young farmer outside there, and especially from the rural areas?
With the government, it's a little bit crazy, just to say, because we remember we have had scandals of the fake fertilizers. I feel like if a young person comes to our leaders with a dream, for example, if I did not have the family support, what would I do? There's no way I would be here where I am today. And it's not that I also need help. We need a borehole in Moiben, because there's no way we can be farming a 4-month crop and that's just enough. So can you imagine somebody else who has a very valid dream or a very good opportunity that can create a job opportunity for maybe even 50 people, and you do not have the funds to put it together? And so we have seen so many private, I find that the private sector has been more supportive of young people, where you can go and get grants, you can go and get even capacity building. The time we had coffee in the farm, and somebody connected me with the county coffee officer. We called him, and he said, I am coming. That took like 2 months late. And then after 2 months, we called him and he asked, so what are you using to control this weed? And he said, we just sprayed glyphosate. And he said, so there's no way you can even export this. How could we have known? You were supposed to be here 2 months ago, He said, one extension officer serves 1,800 farmers. That's the survey of how, and if with farming we need a lot of, there has to be like 1-to-1, So we're looking at, this is a support that should be getting from the government, and we are not, while we are still chasing a food secure country, we are chasing a job opportunity, a sector where we should be creating job opportunities. But that is not happening now.
Okay. For now, a young person who is considering now to enter into agriculture, and probably all they have is knowledge or information, but now the capacity and what have you. But just as a green advice to anybody who is considering now to enter into agriculture, as young as probably 25 or even below 25, there are some who are just after campus. What is it that you can tell them? What is it that they need to know when they are venturing into this? Something that surprised you when you got there. Because sometimes you get into something having little knowledge, but just when you get there, you get now, oh, this is what is happening. What is it that you can tell these young person who is to be like you?
I mean, if you put yourself in a position to learn, And if you have done a lot of research, you should be able to brace for what is coming. At the moment, we are dealing with climate change, we are dealing with unpredictable weather. This is something that you need to be very clever about it. Usiingie kwa ukulima na nitapanda na itakuwa tu sawa na nitavuna. So be ready for anything, but do a lot of research before you get into something. And you need to be, just knowledge with all your might, because you will get the right knowledge for what you need. You will get even the knowledge about somebody who could help you. If your problem is funds, there are people who can help you with that. That it is very possible.
Now, as we wrap up the conversation, given a chance, for example, if you're given 20 million today, what will you do with it in farming and agriculture?
I will do first a borehole, because I always have the dream to like even do onions or tomatoes immediately after the wheat, but we do not have funds for that. So a borehole first, and then a good John Deere for myself. So yeah, that, and a combine harvester. It really costs a lot to outsource these things. And so, and because we are a farm where we are embracing a lot of technology, I need to be in a tractor where I can just set the coordinates of my farm and just goes by itself. It does the planting by itself, and yeah, just change to much better systems for our farm. Yeah.
Okay, just to as we end this conversation, what is your parting shot to the young people of Wasingishu and even the country at large?
Yeah. For me is get an opportunity for yourself in the agricultural space if you see yourself doing it. It does only one mistake that you make is young people wanasemanga sasa juu hapa hivi nimemiss wacha nijaribu huko. Agriculture takes a lot of passion. You need to be very passionate about it. So do it, be knowledgeable, be very thirsty for knowledge. You can give yourself an opportunity to start small, and you will get where you want to be. Okay. And of course, we are pushing for farmers to be looked at equally as a banker and a lawyer and everything. Those white collar jobs. But farming is as good enough as anything else. Yeah.
Okay. Your parents still tell you to apply for jobs?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Jannette, for having me tonight. I think the show has been very insightful, and especially to the young people out there. That is the essence of this particular show. And just before Bueno is saying here, YARA ambassador, she introduced me to vegetable farming. I did as a test. I got real money. Jannette's father introduced me to Mr. Senguero, and both of them are really my true inspiration to get money from the soil. YARA nutrition program is the best. I think that is something that I also mentioned. And many people who have been following this conversation, I think will be responding to some of your questions after this particular show and see what is it that needs our attention. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, this is a show that always provides everybody an opportunity and also a platform for somebody to learn. And as our guest tonight has mentioned, that we need to have the thirst of learning, the thirst of getting knowledge. This is the right show for you to get the right information and also different kind of knowledge. Remember, learning is a continuous process, and the moment you stop learning, you start to die. Choose to keep on learning. Choose to watch the CEO show. This is a show that will always give you that opportunity to learn something each and every Tuesday. Remember, this show comes to you every Tuesday on YouTube, Facebook, and also TikTok. If you've got in the tail end of this conversation, you can always go back to our YouTube channel and make sure that you follow this and different shows that we've had for the last 25 weeks. You're going to be informed, you're going to be incited, and definitely you're going to get inspiration. If you want to venture into business, this is the right show to watch. If you're running a business, this is the right show to watch. If you just stopped running a business, this is the right show to watch. And to our guest tonight, we're very grateful to have you tonight. It's been an opportunity to learn something from you. And personally, I think I need to consider going into farming. You make it look beautiful. Thank you for coming through to the show. And our guests and also our viewers tonight, thank you for being part of this particular conversation. And special mention to our friends who have been sharing this conversation and previous ones. Lemiso Media House, thanks for sharing this particular podcast. Not forgetting Kalenjin Online for always being a family. And also remembering Alfred Sargent, who have always been sharing all our episodes. We always look forward for better and best partnership. To our viewers, may you have a good night and see you same time, same place, come next week. I was your host, Dan.
Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education.